I've argued time and time again on this channel that developers should focus on optimizing their games more. Far too often we see games badly optimized, with the games running at a lower resolution than they should, or with an unstable frame rate, and sometimes even both. It's become more and more prevalent this generation, as many devs have dropped the ball again and again on optimization. I and many other gamers care about performance and optimization in games. However, this is not the general gaming audience. When it concerns the average gamer, do they even care about a game's performance? Moreover, does game optimization even matter? Well, bluntly, no. Obviously, the game needs to not be broken and run above 15 FPS, but otherwise it's become abundantly clear the average gamer does not care about good optimization. I know this because sales do not lie. Most recently, Monster Hunter Wilds sold over 8 million copies in just 3 days, a record for Capcom. However, the game's engine is bad for open-world games. The texture quality looks awful at many points, the frame rate is unstable even though in many zones there's nothing that should be tanking performance, and overall the graphics only look a little better than Monster Hunter World, a game that came out in 2018. Whether you're playing on PC or console, the optimization issues are very apparent. To clarify, when I talk about performance and optimization, I am talking about resolution, FPS, upscaling, and the graphics overall in a game. Nothing is exclusive either, as bad optimization could be acceptable FPS at a really bad resolution. So here in Wilds, the optimization is poor because though the FPS is usually around its target, it should have been much higher given the low internal resolution and unimpressive graphics of the game. Thus, you might think the game would have suffered in sales because of it. However, the old adage, gameplay is king, has never been more true. The gameplay is incredibly good, there is co-op, and the game itself is extremely fun to play. For the average gamer, that's all you need. If the game itself is great, fun, and not outright broken, then the regular gamer does not care about performance or optimization. But we'll get back to Wilds in a moment. For now, let's look at another game. Silent Hill 2 is another incredibly demanding game that is tough to run both on consoles and PC. In fact, it still has stuttering issues to this day on PC. Yet, check out the reviews. They're nothing but positive, and the game is 10 out of 10 on Steam. It's a great example of what I'm talking about. The gamers who care about stutters or tech issues do not represent the broader gaming community. This larger general community simply does not care. But this all begs another question. Is that a good thing? Certainly it's not the end of the world if a game isn't performing as good as it could be, as long as it's generally playable. There's also many times when gamers care way too much about performance and visuals in their game. However, when poor optimization has become the trend in the current industry, it is becoming very concerning. It seems like whenever a game comes out with questionable performance, gamers just think that the devs will either update and fix the performance, or learn from the game's performance issues so that the next game can be better. Unfortunately, that's the wrong attitude to have, because we consistently see that's often not the case. If it was, then Monster Hunter Wilds would have been better optimized. With Wilds, quite a few people are hoping for an update in performance and/or hoping the next open world game will perform better. Here's the issue. Capcom already had their chance with another game to do both these things, and that was Dragon's Dogma 2. People kept hoping for updates to fix the game's bad performance, but those patches to improve performance never meaningfully did anything. It was clear Capcom knew about the performance complaints and could have made sure their next open-world game could perform better. However, just 1 year after Dragon's Dogma 2, we have Monster Hunter Wilds with many optimization and performance issues. So herein lies the issue. Capcom knew after Dragon's Dogma 2 that they should optimize and polish Monster Hunter Wilds in order to iron out the performance issues. However, they did not, and now they have received record-breaking sales. So, do you think they'll really care about their next open world game's performance? Absolutely not. Further optimizing and polishing a game costs extra money and time. And Capcom already knows as long as the next game itself is fun and great to play, and the performance is acceptable, they'll get good sales. To be clear, the point I'm making here is no secret to the other studios and game companies in the industry. This philosophy extends to good or even great studios. From Software, one of the best in the industry, is awful at optimization. Then there's the studio Respawn. Jedi Fallen Order's PC port in 2019 had many issues, and then its sequel actually released on PC with even worse problems, and it's still bad to this day. Then we have many more examples of games that never got updates that meaningfully improved performance. Final Fantasy XVI, Baldur's Gate 3, Metaphor, Rise of the Ronin, Elden Ring, and games I've already mentioned. Not to say there are not games that did improve with patches or did release in a far better state than their predecessors. However, far too many gamers hope the next game from a studio will have better performance or hope the next patch will fix performance issues, and that's not something gamers should rely on. Now, I am not saying everyone needs to care deeply about performance issues or optimization. However, everyone should care enough to know when a game should not have been shipped in the state it was in, and call out the developers on it in a meaningful way. But unless it's egregious performance issues, the average gamer just does not care, and it's creating a low bar in this industry. One that states, you don't need great performance, just acceptable performance. Currently, that is the standard developers are being held to, and it's just not high enough. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.